Alright, I tried making a video earlier today and I ran out of batteries, and even whatever I recorded didn't keep, so it's very late. I want to get up early tomorrow, so I'm going to make this Daf Yomi video very quickly. Hopefully we can keep it under 20 minutes. So it's a very, very interesting Daf with a lot of complicated but interesting things that I think we can all contemplate. Questions about who is qualified to perform a bris. So we said yesterday, we said before that if we're dealing that Rabbi allowed a pagan to perform a circumcision, it's only if he's an expert doctor, a physician, as Rav Dimi said the name of Rav Yochanan when he came from Bavel, from Babylonia to the Holy Land. Came from the Holy Land to Bavel, to Babylonia. He said if the pagan is a trained doctor and is an expert, then you can have him do the Mila. Savar Rabbi Yehuda Kusi Shepherd.
We'll get it tomorrow.
Tommy. Sadir Yisrael Mal as a Kusi. Kusi La Yamul Yisrael Nesha Mal L'Shem Har Grizim Divrei Rabbi Yehuda Amalei Rabbi Yosi V'chi Heichen Mitzina Mila Min Atar L'Shema Alamal V'Holech Achetetz Nishmasei. So the Rabbi Yehuda holds that a Samaritan cannot do a circumcision because he says that a Jew could perform a bris for a Samaritan, but the Samaritan should not perform the bris for the Jew, because when the Samaritan does it, he has in mind his idol that's on Har Gerizim, on Mount Gerizim, instead of our God, the true God, who we face Jerusalem when we worship. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Rabbi Yosi said it doesn't matter. There's no reason. The main thing is that a Jewish boy should be circumcised. Doesn't have to be a kosher bris. Doesn't have to be done by a Jew with intent. Just has to get done. The orla has to come off. And we're going to find out why we are strict according to Rabbi Yehuda. But before we get there, we have another issue of which Rabbi Yehuda are we talking about? So we have to say that we have to follow the original idea that we said, that Rabbi Meir's opinion is that the Samaritan can perform the bris and the pagan cannot, and Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is the pagan can perform the bris and the Samaritan cannot. But the Kasha Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, he the Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he the Sanya Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, I remember Brises are not always accurate, and they're not always using the same language as the Mishnah. When the Mishnah says Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi, and when it says Rabbi, it means Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. But a Brisa, which is an apocryphal Mishnah, for lack of a better term, those weren't all written and redacted by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. So sometimes it could say Rabbi Yehuda, and it's talking about Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and we find another version of the Brisa that indeed says that it's Rabbi Yehuda Nasi who taught that the bris has to be done by a kosher Jew. Amar of Chisda, my time in Rabbi Yehuda the Chsiv Lashem Himel, Rabbi Yosi Himel Yimel. So Rav Chisda asked, why does Rabbi Yehuda hold that the bris has to be done for the sake of a mitzvah? We just had there where it says Vatos Pritzi Tishmor, you should keep my covenant, but we find another verse because Rabbi Yossi says it doesn't say in the Bible that it has to be done for the sake of a mitzvah, for a covenant. It just has to be, the orla has to be cut off, the foreskin has to be cut. So Rav Yehuda finds the verse in Exodus 12, verse 48. It says that when a convert lives among you and he makes a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, he should be circumcised, for him all of the males in his family. So since it says he offers a Passover to the Lord. He should be he should be circumcised. We could read that as to the Lord he should be circumcised. That the circumcision has to be l'shem shemayim. Rabbi Yossi argues Himal Yimel. Rabbi Yossi argues that in Genesis 17:13 it says, "Circumcised he shall be circumcised. He shall surely be circumcised. Mikol makom, however it is." So v'idach hachsiv l'Hashem Himmel. So Rabbi Yossi, how does he answer this? That in Exodus it says that he should be circumcised for the sake of the Lord. Ho b'Pesach ksiv. So Rabbi Yossi says, no, it's a simple pshat. How to read the pasuk? You don't know where a comma goes, even though there's no punctuation in the Torah. But there's an asnachta. There's some, the pasuk says he should make a Passover to the Lord, and he should be in order to do so he should be circumcised. It doesn't say he should be circumcised to the Lord. He should make a Passover to the Lord. That the Paschal sacrifice is a sacrifice to Hashem, to God. There's nothing to do. The circumcision is ancillary to the sacrifice. And just because the word is right next to Hashem doesn't mean that it's connected. There's a comma there, or there should be a comma. Idach nami haksiv himal yimol. So how does Rabbi Yehuda answer this? Circumcised, he should be circumcised. He should surely be circumcised. They were Turkshin b'nei Adam. So Rabbi Yehuda holds that's just the normal way of stating. That's the regular way of talking. That way people talk. Weiter, we have from the Amoraim the same discussion. Itma menayin l'milu ba'akum shipsula daro bar papa mishmei Rav Amar. So we have a slightly different approach. By the Amoraim, everyone agreed, or both of these agreed, that this bris has to be done for the sake of a mitzvah. You can't just have a medical procedure and say you did the mitzvah. But they argue, which verse do we derive it from? So Darbar Papa is in the name of Rav, the pasuk that Rabbi Yehuda says, you should keep my covenant. But Rabbi Yochanan, very interestingly, takes the same pasuk that Rabbi Yossi says, the same biblical scriptural verse that Rabbi Yossi brings, and uses it to say that specifically it should be l'shem shemayim and not just a medical procedure. My benayu. So what difference would it be? They both agree that it has to be done for the sake of the mitzvah. So what's the difference between you should keep my covenant and you should surely be circumcised? So Arvi Mahul, the Gavnuni Mahul, Ikvenayu. But what if you have a Gentile who's circumcised, an Arab or a Gabonian? Mandamar Himel Yimel, if we follow Rabbi Yochanan, who says that we base this verse on he should surely be circumcised, Ika. He learns it out that someone who is himself circumcised is qualified to circumcise someone else. And so therefore, since the Arabs circumcise, that's good enough. It fulfills Himol Yimol. However, Manda Amar is Brisi Tishma Leika. But it says you have to keep my covenant, even though they're children of Abraham, they are not under the covenant because we're under the covenant from Sinai that went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, and not through Ishmael or the Bnei Keturah as these other groups. And so therefore, if you say as Brisi Tishmar that you keep my covenant, it has to be a Jew performing the circumcision. However, even Ulman Da'amar Himel Yimalika, Gemara asks, can you really say that according to the one that says he should certainly be circumcised, that a non-Jew who's circumcised can perform the circumcision? But Hasnan, we have a Mishnah in the Darim. Koinim sheninenam in Arvelim, Mutabar li Yisrael, Vasam Muli Akum, Am Afal Gav de Mehili, Commanda li Mehili Damu. Mishnah says, if someone vows that he will not derive benefit from uncircumcised people, the term uncircumcised means a Gentile. And so a Jew, even if for medical reasons he can't be circumcised, he's still called someone he's not included in the prohibition of this vow that this person is taking. And the Gentile, even if he's medically circumcised or even religiously circumcised, but not for the sake of conversion to Judaism, which would mean he's not a Gentile and would become a Jew, he's considered in the terminology of the Mishnah as someone who's not circumcised. And they bring a proof in the story of Samson where he says that he among the uncircumcised Philistines. But we said we could think maybe that this term himel yimel means that the one doing the circumcision has to himself be circumcised, right? But we said that a non-Jew, even if he's circumcised, is not called quote unquote circumcised for the purpose of this halacha. So what if you have a Jew, his brothers died after having a bris, so we assume there's some genetic condition, maybe he's hemophiliac, something like that, he can't have a bris. What if he wants to go and he wants to fulfill the mitzvah of milah? He can't do it on himself, so he becomes a moil and he mauls other people to fulfill the mitzvah. So, according to Vatos Bisi Tishmar, according to the opinion of Rav, that we base the law on what it says you should keep the covenant, he is bound by the covenant. He's a member of the covenant, even if he's not circumcised, so he could be a moil. But according to where it says, we might say himel yimel, that he should be circumcised, meaning someone who's already circumcised should do the circumcision, so then he can't, according to Rabbi Yochanan. But is that really the case? Meaning, just because he's not physically circumcised, would that mean he's barred from circumcising others as a Jew? Vasnan. The same Mishnah in Nedarim continues. If someone says he doesn't want to, he's taking a vow, he won't derive any benefit from those who are circumcised. So then which means the Jews, right? So then it would mean that even a Jew who didn't have a bris, for medical reasons, he's not allowed to have benefit from him because he's taking a vow against the circumcised ones, and he's permitted to have benefit from a pagan who is circumcised or a Gentile who is circumcised. So we see that a Jew is always called by the title of one who is circumcised, even if he's physically uncircumcised, as far as these particular laws are regarded. Obviously, if physically he can be circumcised, he's obligated to do so, and he's under kares until he doesn't. So el ikavnayu isha lamanda amavatu espisi tishmor lake of the isha lavas milahi wanda amar himel yimol ika the isha commanda mehila damya. So perhaps then we say, what about a woman, a Jewish woman? Is she allowed to be a Mahalis? So according to Rav, where it says you should keep my covenant, so since she didn't fulfill the covenant by being circumcised, she cannot circumcise a male. But according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, that it's derived from the verse, they should be circumcised, himel yimel, she could do the circumcision because since she's Jewish, she's considered as if, like we said from the Mishnah, that she's considered a mahul, she's considered someone who's circumcised, even though she obviously physically didn't become circumcised. Now, the question is, we see in the Torah that a woman performed a bris. Why would there be opinion the woman could not perform a bris? In Exodus 4:25, we see that Moses' wife Zipporah circumcised their son, and so therefore, krebe vatakach v'achsiv vatich. But so when it says that she took it, doesn't mean she took it. It means she made someone take it. She made a man go and take it and make the bris, because the way it's spelled, there's no yud there. V'achsiv vatichros. But then it says she cut off the foreskin. Krebe vatachres. The amalina queen of Avodah. Again, she caused it to be cut, is the way we could read it. That she told she saw a man she told a man to do it. Or maybe Tzipporah started the bris, and Moshe Rabbeinu, once he recovered because she started to do it, so then he came and finished the bris. So we could say that Tzipporah was not able to do it. The Rif, it seems to hold that Al Pi Halacha, a woman could do a bris. Excuse me. All right, so we have a new Mishnah. Misrapen mein ripei mammon, v'loy ripei nefashis, v'ein mistapen mehen b'chol makim, divrei b'meir, v'chamem armen b'reshus Rabbi Muta v'loy ben l'veinai. So we have again, like we said, the Meiri brings that these are the ancient pagans who were very evil people. We're not talking about modern day Gentiles. So when it comes to taking medical treatment from a pagan, it says you could take medical treatment if it's for money. It seems to mean that you're paying them, but not healing of souls, which we would assume means life or death situations, which doesn't seem to make sense. So the Gemara is going to explain. Excuse me, I have some sore throat. But we don't take haircuts from them in any place. That's Reb Meir's opinion. But the sages say in public you could take haircuts from them, but privately you have to be worried maybe a barber is like a Sweeney Todd or something, making meat pies. So Gemara asks, "My ripei mammon and my ripei nefashis." What does it mean? Monetary treatment and soul treatment. Eleima ripei mammon b'sachar. Ripei nefashis b'chinam. So maybe monetary treatment means you pay them, and soul treatment is that you don't pay them; they're offering their services for free. Listening to Misrapen men b'sachar v'lo b'chinam. So why doesn't the Mishnah say that you can be treated by them if you pay them, but not for free? The ripei mammon davar she'ein bo sakana, ripei nefashis davar she'esh b'sakana. So maybe we learn that money treatment is something that's not life or death, and soul treatment is a life or death case. From Rabbi Yehuda, Afil rivda the kusilta mloy matasinan minayu. So that doesn't make sense because Rav Yehuda says you don't even let them let blood, which is a small, tiny little thing. He wouldn't let the pain from the bloodletter, from a Jewish bloodletter. He had maybe some pain in his shoulder. He wouldn't be treated for pain by the pagan doctor because he didn't know what he's going to do. He might wind up killing him, Type Shabaraifim Lekahinam. Allah, so what does it mean? Excuse me. Ripai Maman Behemte Ripai Nefashis Gufe. Anodamar of Yehuda Filarivda the Chusilta Lumatasinam. So maybe we say monetary treatment means a veterinarian treating your money, meaning you're an asset that you have, an animal. You have a veterinarian. And soul treatment means human, your own healing. And that's what we saw. If Yehuda wouldn't even be treated for pain that he got from a Jewish bloodletter, that to go to have pain taken care of by a pagan. Maybe he's going to get him hooked on the pain medication, So Amar of Chistam Marukva, Aval im Amalai Sam Ploni Yafalai Sam Ploni Ralai Mutter. However, Rav Chisda said the name of Marukva that if you go to a pagan doctor and he tells you that this medicine is good and this one is poison, this potion is poison, then you can listen to him. So now we're on Amud Beis. Sava shiulei mashaloi ki eichne mashaloi mashal inish achrina asu gavrlo ribui nafshe. Because the doctor might think he's just asking his opinion, and if he gives him wrong advice on purpose, because it's not going to be the only one he's asking. And if he winds up telling him that to take poison and kill himself, thinking it's a medicine, he's going to lose his reputation. He could lose his license even. Obviously, in those days, most likely these doctors were not licensed. It was just by word of mouth. We knew who was well known and so forth. I'm a Rabbi, I'm Rabbi Yechanan. Rav Chistam Rabbi Yechanan. Safek Chaisavik Meis and Misrapen Mehen, Vadi Meis Misrapen Mehen. So Rabbi said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, or some say Rav Chisda said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, that if there's if a Jewish patient, and he might live and might die, you wait till you get a Jewish doctor, but you don't go to a pagan doctor. Or you go to a righteous Gentile doctor, but not a wicked pagan doctor. But if he's surely going to die, if he doesn't get treatment, then you could, since it's really life or death, then you could go to a pagan doctor. Now, how could that be? We're worried. In Judaism, we value every moment of life. Meaning, if someone kills someone who's going to die in 5 minutes and causes them to die 5 minutes earlier, they're a murderer. So, aren't we worried that the pagan is going to, he's going to pull a Dr. Kevorkian? So the Gemara answers like Chai Sholei Chashinan. He said, no, if there's a possibility that that we're going to save his life and he's going to live for much longer if we do this treatment. This is a big issue of medical ethics. Like this, you have a chance. You have a person who, if you leave him by himself, he's going to die for sure. You have a treatment that could either kill him quicker or save his life. You do the treatment because the possibility you're going to save his life, and the fact that he might die quicker, but he's going to for sure die if he's not treated. So for that, you do whatever treatment is possible, including going to a pagan doctor. But the question is, how can you say that we're not worried about preserving the life for an extra 5 minutes, and or perhaps snuffing out the life 5 minutes earlier, which is shvichas damim, which could legally be considered murder. It might be pater. He might not be punished for such a murder, but it's still at least in heaven he'll be punished for such a murder. So the story in the book of Kings, in 2 Kings, about 4 lepers who were trying to figure out what should they do. Should they go into the gates of the city where they're forbidden to go, into Jerusalem, but in order to save their lives, even they know they're probably going to die anyway, but they live another couple of days. So they said that they go to the city as a famine and they're going to die. So why would they do this? Why are they putting their life in danger? They're going to go to the pagans. Maybe they're going to kill them, to the Arameans. So it shows that when there's a possibility of saving a life, we're not worried that there's also a possibility of somewhat hastening the death. If without any action there's sure death. Veisvei. So we have a challenge. Le yisav yitain adam eminen. When misrapen mena fil chayisha. Maise. When damam and a chayser shlo rishmoel. She kishay nachash. V'yankev ish kvar sechani la poisoi. V'ynichay Rabbi Shmuel. V'amalei Rabbi Shmuel achi. Hanach lei v'rafe mimeno. V'yeva mikra min a mutter. So, we can't go to Minim, to heretics to be healed, even if he has a short amount of life to live and he needs to be saved right away. Because the story of Ben Dama, who was Rabbi Shmuel's nephew from Rabbi Shmuel's sister's son, and this Ben Dama was bitten by a snake, poisonous snake, and Yankov of Kvarschania, who was a known heretic, came to heal him. Rabbi Shmuel wouldn't let him, and Dama said, no, let him. Rabbi Shmuel, my brother, who was really his uncle, let him heal me, and I'll bring you a verse from the Torah that shows that this is permitted. Lehispik ligmar as a davar just mishmasav v'meis karol of Rabbi Shmuel ashrecha ben Dama shekuf chatav yetzim nishmascha b'tahar v'levatal divrei chavirecha. So I remember first, God or Yishchenu Nachash. So before he was able to quote the Bible verse, he had passed away from the snake bite. And Rabbi Shmuel said, it's very good what you did, Ben Dama. You're so blessed and fortunate and happy that your soul and your body are pure, and your soul left your body in purity without violating the sin of violating that which your fellows, your colleagues said, that if someone breaches a fence, they'll be bitten by a snake. That's in Ecclesiastes 10:8. That you can't get treated by a heretic like this Yaakov ish Kvarschania. So the Gemara says, "Shiny minus the mashcha the asl mimshach b'srayu." He says no. The Gemara answers the difference between heresy and idolatry. A Jew isn't really so drawn to a pagan idolatry, but to heresy, which might be like a Jewish heresy, that he might be comfortable with. You know, a quote-unquote Jewish heresy. It's going against Judaism, but it feels, like this is part of our people, and so that's much more dangerous. Amar le'avart al divrei chaverecha. Sha'arma for its God or Yishchenu Nachash Iun Nami Chivya Tarke Chivya de Abana de Leisle Susa Klau. So he said, what do you mean? you didn't violate what your colleague said, because otherwise you'd be bitten by a snake. But he was bitten by a snake. They said, no, there's a difference. He said, this snake, he could have been healed from. But if the snake that the rabbis are talking about, that snake you can't be healed from. That's the supernatural snake. That's the devil, quote unquote. The original snake. That snake he would bite him if he would violate the what his colleagues said, what the rabbis teach. But to have this other mice with the snake, this is another mice. So my havel the name of v'chai. But still, how could Rabbi Shmuel say that he can't be treated by the heretic? It says v'chai b'hem, you're supposed to live by the Torah and not die by the Torah. V'lo sheyamus b'hem, you're supposed to live by the Torah and not die by it. And so if you can do something to save your life, you got to do it. So how could it be that Rabbi Shmuel said that he shouldn't have tried to save his life? Rabbi Shmuel had a middle b'tzina of Presi Eloi. Sanya hay Rabbi Shmuel oimim naim shim oimim loy ladam lav the verdus kechavim al tahareg yavad val yahareg tam loimim v'chai b'hem ad shi v'lo shi yomus b'hem yachol fil b'ferhesia tam loimim l'yischal v'shem kodshi. So Rabbi Shmuel holds that privately you can do whatever you want to save your life, but publicly you're not allowed to, even to the point, which we disagree with, of idolatry, that if a pagan tells you, I'm going to kill you if you don't worship this idol, and it's privately, pretend to worship the idol and then it'd be safe. We don't paskin like that. But if it's publicly, then he has to be a martyr. The way we paskin, though, is not like that. The way we paskin is when it comes to idolatry, one always has to be a martyr, and same with murder or adultery. But with the other mitzvahs, that's even privately. With other mitzvahs, if it's the shas shmad, then one could be a martyr even for publicly for any type of mitzvah, not just the big three. And this is derived from you shouldn't desecrate my name. It's a chil Hashem, and it's a kiddush Hashem to be a martyr. So vayta Amar Rabbi Bechana Amar Rabbi Yechanan Kol Makash Bechana as a Shabbos and Misrapin Mehen. Because the Amrei Amar Rabbi Bechana Amar Rabbi Yechanan. So Rabbi Bechana said to Rabbi Yechanan that if it's something that we would break Shabbos because it's life-threatening or major, then you don't let a pagan take care of, because he might actually go and kill. So there's a different version. Rabbi Chanas and Rabbi Yechanan Kol Makat Shel Cholon Misrabanan. Only if anything that's an internal wound, we don't get treatment from the pagan. So we're now on Chavches. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. And all the best.
Bye-bye.
27. All right.